First off, my nigga Mo, I am the coldest. I'm not the middle child, I am the oldest. Weight of the world, carry that on my shoulders. I'm David Ruff and these niggas is oldest. These bitches be champing, these niggas be bold. I ain't naming their chesses, I'm aiming at no.
So dope.
I am back. What it do, baby?
3 scary true stories. Interesting. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Let's get into the video. Hopefully these scary or suspicious. I don't know. How do y'all be wanting to feel when y'all watch
12 years old.
My
mom had just
videos?
started trusting me enough to leave me home alone. So this had to be when I was 12. We live in a peaceful and ordinarily safe little town. Quiet streets, spacious yards, friendly neighbors, and a charming little village with a bunch of shops and restaurants. It really is not a place where you need to look over your shoulder at night if you're walking alone or anything like that.
I started being
It just
home alone
feels
at
safe,
5.
which is part of the reason my parents trusted me home alone at such a young age.
And I had
I
a
still
house
live
key.
with my parents today in the same house.
5.
The night in question, it was a weekend. My parents were leaving me home alone for the night. When we were really little, my grandparents would watch my older sister and I. But since my sister wasn't home for whatever reason, and since I was kind of old enough to be left alone at that age, my parents decided to just trust me by myself. My parents had us young, so they've always been a bit more active in the sense that they'd often travel or go out on the weekends with their friends.
Type shit.
They left me some money for pizza for dinner. It was the ideal night for a 12 or 13-year-old. House to myself, video games all night, and pizza for dinner.
Facts.
I used to be obsessed with James Bond video games when I was a kid. So I was playing some game called Nightfire for like my 3rd playthrough on my PS2.
What system is that
After I finished the game again, I decided to order the pizza. There was a pizza place right by our house called Gianni's. It's been closed for years now, but it was one of my family's go-to pizzerias. I ordered a regular pie.
Shouts out to
At the age of 12, I could easily eat 3 slices by myself. My mom told me to wrap the leftover slices in tinfoil and put them in the fridge. I switched out discs for another video game in the meantime while I waited for the pizza, and when the doorbell finally rang, I hurried downstairs with the $20 bill my parents left me. My mom told me to tip $4. The pizza place was like 3 blocks away, so honestly it wasn't a bad tip, especially for the time. The delivery driver was some 30-something-year-old looking guy, though he looked a little rough. Like, he had a really long and gross beard. He also wore glasses and was wearing a black trucker's hat.
I used to be a delivery driver.
I gave him the 20
for
and asked for the
Domino's.
specific change. As he handed me the box and counted the change, he looked up at me and looked past me into the house and said, "You alone here?" I knew it was an odd, creepy question, and my parents taught me well about being wary of strangers.
I would have closed the door
I said
so
my
fast.
parents are on their way home. A stupid answer in retrospect. I could have just said no. But I knew he was asking because, first of all, there were no cars in the driveway, and the fact that a kid was accepting the pizza at the door instead of an adult. After he handed me the change, I closed the door. I ate in the kitchen, probably had 3 slices, and then wrapped up the rest of them and put them in the fridge. I went back upstairs and played my other James Bond PS2 game, Agent Under Fire.
Young man.
I liked this one less than Nightfire, but it was still good. Hours go by of me playing. It was probably 11 o'clock when the doorbell rang. Naturally,
Please don't be
thinking
the
it was my
delivery
parents,
man.
I rushed downstairs to the door. I said through the door, "Mom? Dad?" But an unfamiliar voice on the other side said, "Hey, I need help." They said they need to use a phone. I said, "Who is this?" And he repeated that he just needs to use a phone. I didn't want to peek through the window because, quite honestly, I was scared. I decided to go upstairs and ignore it. I knew from common sense alone that opening that door would be a horrible, horrible idea. I was walking up the stairs, which are directly in front of the front door, when the man outside banged on the door, and I heard him say, "Wait, please, I need help." What that meant was that he saw me. He was watching through the glass at the top of the door. I turned around, and though it was dark on the front porch, I could still see the outline of the man's head.
You got this, kid. Don't answer the door.
I couldn't see his eyes. It was obvious that he was staring back at me.
Just make sure the door is locked and go back upstairs.
The only house phone that was upstairs was in my parents' room, so I went to the phone immediately and called my mom's cell phone number. I didn't memorize my dad's number at that age. My mom picked up the phone, likely under the influence of a few glasses of wine, and then I told her that there's someone at the door asking to come in. This comment likely sobered her up instantly, as I remember her tone shifted dramatically, and she sounded much louder and more concerned. She asked me a few questions. Firstly, if I had answered the man or at all made him aware that I was home, and I told the truth and said yes. I asked who it was. My mom's tone grew more and more concerned. She asked me if for any reason someone knew I was there by myself, and I immediately thought of the pizza guy. I told her that the pizza guy asked if I were here alone, and around this time, the doorbell rang 2 more times. I told my mom in a panic, expressing that the guy would not leave. My mom told me to stay put in their room and keep the bedroom door locked. She said they were calling the police. My mom kept me on the line with her on her phone while they called the police using my dad's phone. They had to leave the restaurant they were in to go outside to better be able to communicate. It was a summer night. The windows were all cracked open to let some air into the house. Through my parents' window, I heard the gate on one side of the house leading to the backyard opening. It opened in a very discreet, gentle-sounding way. I told this to my mom, and she kept telling me to just stay quiet, stay in their room, and keep the lights off. I said quietly into the phone, "What if he tries getting in through the den window?" My mom would tell me to just stop talking and wait for the police.
We got a Glock with a switch under the bed.
Feeding me updates from the police and their ETA, reminding me also to not talk. I was starting to calm down just a bit when I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps downstairs. Footsteps of someone inside the house, wandering around. I whispered this in a panic to my mom, and I heard her scream something into the other phone to the police. Probably something along the lines of, "The man is inside the house, hurry up." My mom told me to hide under the bed and wait there. For my 12-year-old self, it was the most horrific, unreal moment of my life. The only thing keeping me feeling relatively protected was the tiny little lock on my parents' bedroom door. I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. The stairs are by my sister and I's bedroom down the hall. My parents' bedroom is further down.
Where was your sister?
The footsteps faded for a few moments, I'm assuming as the intruder went into our bedrooms, searching. My mom told me the police would force their way in and to not move until they were inside. I heard the footsteps in the hallway coming down this way until they got to the bedroom door, and then they tried pressing down the doorknob only to find it locked. They tried a few times, as if that would somehow magically unlock the door. Then there was a light knocking on the door, but the person on the other side didn't speak a word. They tried the doorknob one more time before I heard the footsteps walk back down the hallway, then down the stairs, and they faded away deeper into the house. I did my best not to burst out into tears the entire time. I didn't even whisper anything into the phone because I was too scared to make the slightest sound.
I mean, you was scared, but you don't even have to be crying, bro.
But to still stay put. I was expecting to hear them kick down the door, but instead, I just rather suddenly heard multiple heavy footsteps and a man shouting my name, identifying himself as a police officer. I heard them coming up the stairs, and my mom gave me permission to answer them and unlock the door. There were 2 officers upstairs when I opened the door, and then 2 more downstairs. They didn't have to kick down the front door because the back door was left completely ajar. The back sliding window was also slid completely open, which was the obvious original entry point. I had to talk with the police and tell them everything that happened, including my suspicion of the pizza guy, with my parents listening in on the phone. They were en route home. By the time they got back, there were only 2 police officers still at the house. With the police report including a note of the pizza guy, they said they'd do their investigation. My parents brought me to Gianni's Pizzeria the next night and asked me to point the guy out if I saw him. When I didn't see him, they asked the manager which employee matched the description of the delivery guy I described. He said that would be Phil, who was currently out doing a delivery. After explaining the whole scenario, he said there's no way that would be Phil and asked us to leave the premises. Long story short, my parents made a big scene in the pizzeria, and they said they would never give them our business again. We went to the car and waited in the parking lot.
So they think it was the pizza
man. We waited for
man.
almost an hour, and when he never showed up, we left. My parents thought it was because the manager called or texted the employee, which caused him not to show back up, but who knows. My parents contacted a few lawyers who ultimately didn't take the case due to a lack of solid evidence, stating it would be a waste of time, basically.
Yeah, you can't just
Ultimately, we never did go
jump
back to that
straight to the
pizzeria.
pizza man.
It wasn't for a long while after that that my parents felt safe leaving me home alone again, simply because of this incident. Ultimately, I do think it was the pizza
I mean,
guy,
I get
or
it.
at least someone
What?
associated with him, because who else would have known that I was home alone that night?
I don't know. I don't really think it was the pizza guy, but okay. Let me know if y'all think it was the pizza guy, cause I hashtag pizza guy.
When I was a
I don't really
teenager,
know.
my parents and I moved from California to a secluded area in North Idaho. My parents had just retired and built their dream home deep in the backcountry.
Every time they show
We had
something
no
like
neighbors
this
in
that
sight,
look like
just
a
forest.
Twilight
Endless, dense forest
introduction,
that backed right up to national
it's something
parklands and
weird.
paper mill
I already
logging
know
grounds.
it.
The house was massive. 2 stories, a gym, a full bar and pool room, and a legit
Yep.
movie theater set
gonna
up
be
in the
weird.
basement. It felt like the kind of house people dream of. Remote, quiet, perfect. Or so it seemed. I was dating my high school girlfriend at the time. One night, while my parents were out on a date downtown, I invited her over to
hard to
hang
do
out and
that.
watch a movie.
Out here.
We were completely alone. I cracked open a beer. I was underage, but figured no one would care, and we headed down
I
to the
haven't
movie
had
room
beer
to watch
in so
Gladiator.
long.
Everything started out normal.
I want a
but
beer.
somewhere around the midpoint
I
of the
want a
movie,
beer.
maybe close to midnight, something switched in me. Out of nowhere, I was overwhelmed with this fight or flight feeling. It was like my body sensed something my brain couldn't see. My heart was pounding, and I kept glancing at the uncovered windows behind us that looked out into the pitch black woods. I didn't want to freak out my girlfriend, so I kept it to myself. In fact, things got a little heated between us during the movie. But the whole time, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I didn't know from where, but I knew. After the movie ended, I walked her upstairs and out to her car. The house was dead quiet again. She drove off, and I turned to go back inside, when I remembered I'd left the bar, pool room, and movie room lights on. So I went back downstairs.
You felt like you were
I
being
turned off
watched
the
in
lights in
your
the movie
house.
room first, then paused. My eyes drifted to the large window that looked into the backyard, and that's when I saw him. Man, he looked homeless. Wild hair, filthy clothes, but what froze me in place
And that's
was
when
his
I saw
expression.
him.
He had the biggest, creepiest smile I've ever seen, with wide, staring eyes. that
Oh, I
looked
see the dude. I
absolutely
didn't see him
deranged.
at first.
And in his hand was a knife.
Yo,
He was
somebody
gently
screenshot
tapping
that
on
and send it
glass
to me,
over and
bruh.
over.
That is a
At first,
creepy
I thought I was
ass photo.
hallucinating. I slowly backed away and went to the bar room to shut off the rest of the lights. That room has a sliding glass door that also faces the woods. I flipped the switch and watched in horror as the man calmly walked from the window to the door, still smiling, still staring. At this point, we were less than a foot apart, just the glass between us. He didn't try to get
That's
in.
crazy.
He didn't move at
That's
all.
crazy.
He just watched me. I went upstairs without a word. Right then, my parents were walking through the door. I told them I think I need to go to the psych ward or something. I swear, I just saw a guy with a knife watching me outside. My mom went pale. My dad's eyes narrowed, and without a word, he went to the gun safe, grabbed his rifle, and stormed out
As
to
you
check
should.
the property.
Good
I
job,
asked my mom what
Papa.
was going on, and she said there have been a few break-ins in the area. A guy wandering through the woods trying to get into homes. The description you gave matches exactly. The police were called, but they didn't find anything. No signs of entry, no footprints, just cold black woods. That should have been
Crazy.
the end of it, but it wasn't. That night, as I tried to
Crazy.
sleep, I could hear a light tapping sound beneath me. My bedroom was on the second floor, directly above the movie room. It sounded like metal
Crazy.
gently tapping glass. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. The tapping lasted for hours. This happened night after night for weeks. Sometimes it would stop.
Crazy.
Sometimes I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and hear it faintly again. I even thought I heard footsteps on the roof one night. I checked the windows, but I never saw anyone. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being stalked, watched. Then winter came. My parents had to go out of town for a few days, but they were still nervous about what had happened. Before they left, They gave me a shotgun.
Okay.
We also had a big Rottweiler. Sweetest dog you'd ever
This one
meet,
sound better than the
totally
last
silent,
story.
unless something was really there. One night while I was home alone, I heard slow, crunching footsteps in the snow outside. Heavy and deliberate. The dog stood up, ears perked.
I'm excited because he got a gun.
Low and deep at the front door. Then barking, ferocious, loud, and non-stop. He only ever did that when he saw something real. I stayed silent. I didn't want whoever was out there to know I was home. I didn't move. Then came the knock. Slow, hollow, and taunting. I didn't answer. I slept with the shotgun next to me that night. Door locked, blinds drawn, dog at my feet. The next morning, I went outside and saw something that made my stomach drop. Footprints. Fresh human footprints circled the entire house. They stopped at every single window, like someone was trying to look in, searching for me. I followed the prints around the property, and they eventually led into the forest. I followed them maybe half a mile before they started to zigzag, veer off, loop back, like whoever made them was trying to throw me off their trail. I turned back. Something told me it was a bad idea to keep going. That night, the tapping came back. Louder this time. I knew it was him. I unlocked my door, grabbed my shotgun, and stepped onto the second-story deck. I flipped on the fog lights that illuminated the backyard. There he was. Same man, same smile, same dead eyes. He was holding the knife again, staring directly at me like he could see through me. I raised the shotgun and shouted, "If you don't leave, I'll put one right through you." He didn't move or flinch.
No picture? You didn't record it or nothing?
Blinking, grinning. I fired a warning shot into the air, and that finally got a reaction. He staggered a bit, then slowly backed into the woods, still facing me. That's when I decided to unleash the dog. I sprinted downstairs, threw open the sliding door, and let him loose. He bolted into the forest like a black missile, barking and snarling.
This kid.
I'd never seen him that aggressive. He had a shock collar, so he couldn't go far, but I like to think he chased that guy off for good, because after that night,
good job. I like this kid. Good job. Story 3, we almost done. I like that kid. Story 2's fire.
This happened in March of 2022
during
spring break. I was in my second year of college. My friends and I, 6 of us total, decided to rent a cabin out in South Carolina.
Okay, shouts out to South Carolina.
Just to get away from everything.
Shouts out D Block.
No stress, no phones. It was supposed to be one of those quiet trips where you drink too much, play music too loud, and maybe make some memories you'll laugh about later. There were 4 of us guys, me, Matt, Chris, and Tyler, and 2 girls, Jess and Sarah.
Who got the
girls? We'd all been close since freshman year. The cabin
Which one of the 4 dudes?
Stupid cheap for its size. 2 stories, a wraparound porch, 2 bathrooms, and listed as being on private land near a lake. It was way out there, no towns for miles, surrounded by forest. The guy who owned it had a thick accent and seemed kind of off when we talked to him on the phone. All he said was, just don't go wandering too deep. Some old stuff back there.
Whales,
busted fences, busted. You don't want to get turned around. We laughed about it, thought he was just trying to add some spooky southern charm to the trip. But when we got there,
you be careful around them southern folk.
The drive took forever. GPS gave out an hour before we arrived. The last part of the road was just dirt and gravel, barely wide enough for 1 car. Trees got thicker the closer we got. When we finally saw the cabin, we all kind of went quiet. It didn't look like the pictures. It was older and dirty.
That looks like a nice little house or whatever in the woods. That's not a cabin.
By the hinges. There was this faint smell outside, like old garbage and wet wood. We brushed it off.
Bro, we need to see a nasty
said it just
cabin.
added character.
That's a nice home in the woods.
Rooms and started drinking by 7 p.m. The first night was fun. We grilled outside, cranked music from a Bluetooth speaker, and played some card games. By 11, it got cold, so we moved inside.
Type shit.
That's when I noticed how dark the woods were.
I
don't mean just nighttime dark. I mean
you're in the woods.
Blackness. The porch lights barely lit up more than a few feet, and and the trees were so dense it felt like they were pressing in from all sides.
Trying to make it scary, I get
it. No bugs, no wind, just total heavy silence. We ended up crashing around 2 a.m. I had one of the rooms on the ground floor, right next to the kitchen. Small and just a bed and a window facing the woods.
Convenient.
At around 4:15, I woke up. No reason, just wide awake like someone had poked me. I laid there for a second, heart beating fast. Then I heard it. Tap, tap, tap.
More tapping.
I thought it was the heater at
tapping.
first, but then it repeated. Steady, non-metallic, non-mechanical. It sounded like fingers. I looked at the window, and there was a man standing there. He was pressed up against the glass, face almost touching it. Pale skin, wild hair, no shirt, just staring in. His mouth hung slightly open, like he was breathing through it. His eyes were wide. He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stood there intact, soft and slow, like he was trying to tease me. I felt like my body locked up. Then the tapping got a little faster. I whispered for Matt, who was sleeping on the couch outside my room.
That was me.
I said his name again, louder. He woke up groggy and asked what I wanted. I just pointed. He looked over, saw the man, and immediately jumped up, knocking over the coffee table. That must have scared the guy off, because by the time Matt turned the porch light on and ran outside,
it's always the guy in the woods.
We all got up.
It's always the guy in the woods.
Tyler tried to convince everyone it was just some drunk local messing with us. Chris said maybe it was a hunter who got lost, but I knew it was that guy watching me. He wasn't lost. We blocked the doors, moved the couch in front of the big living room window, and took turns staying awake for a few hours. Nothing else happened.
So did you leave the next day?
The next morning,
we
went outside.
Of course they didn't.
There were footprints. Bare human footprints circling
the entire
cabin.
They could have left the next day, just saying, like everybody, letting y'all know.
Every single one. Even the little one above the upstairs
shower. They could have left.
That should have been it.
Exactly,
exactly. But we didn't. We were dumb and stubborn. We stayed.
Oh my goodness.
Night 2 started the same. Drinks, music, fire pit, but the energy was different. Everyone kept glancing at the woods. Jess didn't drink. Chris kept his hunting knife on his belt. When we finally went inside, we locked every window and double-checked the doors. Around 3:30 a.m., Matt went to the kitchen for water. He stopped in the hallway and called my name. I got up and saw him standing there, pointing. There was someone in the kitchen, the man from before, but this time he was inside.
Come on, y'all.
Naked.
Come on, y'all.
His back was to us.
Come on, man.
Long, raw-looking scratches. He was standing in front of the fridge, staring at it like he didn't know what it was. He made this slow, swaying motion. He was rocking on his feet. Matt didn't speak. He just backed up. We all gathered silently at the hallway entrance. I had a pocket knife. Sarah had the fire poker. Chris grabbed one of the chair legs he'd snapped earlier, trying to be funny. We turned on the light, and the man was gone. The back door was wide open, but it wasn't broken. It wasn't forced. It was just open. We left 20 minutes later. No one argued. We packed only the basics, wallets, keys, phones, and drove through the woods until we had enough signal to call the sheriff. When we met the deputy at a diner off the highway, he didn't look surprised at all. He asked if anyone was hurt, then said, "Yeah, we've had some trouble with folks squatting up in those woods. Not always right in the head." We tried to explain it wasn't just some homeless guy. This man watched us, came back 2 nights in a row, and had a key or somehow got inside.
The cop, and you
the deputy
stayed?
Just nodded like he heard it before. When we mentioned the owner, his face almost implied that he knew the guy. The listing disappeared a few days later, completely wiped from every rental site. We never got answers, never got a call. We never even got our deposit back. But that face, the way he looked at me through the window, I still see it sometimes when I wake up at night. We don't talk about that trip much anymore. But as far as I know, none of us have been back to South Carolina since.
Alright, bro. Alright gang, story 2 was the best story. Give me y'all opinion in the comment section. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Let me know. I didn't want to ask, but let me know in the comment section below. What race do y'all think each person was, or the people were in each story? I'm curious. I'm not gonna say what I think until y'all tell me what y'all think. I know some of y'all know, but I want y'all to say it before I say it. I'll catch y'all in the next video.
Hey, I throw myself no back, or you can just keep your love, I'm cool with it. Try to let them in, they backing up, they say can't handle it. Just give me some time, my man is sweet. She said she need my heart, so why she down the shit? Yeah. That's how the game slide. Yeah, sitting there for the coupe, that's how the game slide. Yeah, sitting there for the. I got a bad bitch on me, yeah, send the photo. Yeah, send them. Yeah, sitting there for the coupe, that's how the game we slide. Yeah, bad bitch on my line, she getting too red beside it. Yeah, pussy function. I got a game beside me. Said I be making her mad, she getting too red like Target. I just can't keep my mama off me. Said she want more, I think she lost with me. We know man for man, we know that.
Keep it cool.
Keep it classy.
And we love you.
Stay awesome.
Always.
And forever.